Uh,
Sorry.
so for purposes of the recording, this is the September Parks and Rec meeting. We're diving into section 5 of the old business for the lakefront property updates. I have a few things, and maybe Richie does too, to talk about yesterday's activity. But Corey, do you have any other bigger updates to provide to us?
Why don't you and Richie kind of go over the meeting first?
Okay.
Kind of a quick update, maybe I can chime in, and then we can go from there.
Great. I'll give a quick overview. Oh, looks like we have another attendee. That's great. Hey, everybody. We are just diving into the agenda. We're doing lakefront property updates, which of course is the main thing, I think. So Richie and I attended the meeting yesterday with the city and the planners and the consultants and all sorts of advisors, I guess, about how the park will work. We started with the first hour was a bit of a walking tour, starting in town, the town hall, I guess, city hall, and crossing the streets, kind of in the footsteps of probably a typical park user who would be parking in the city hall parking lot and crossing over, experiencing the very wet and noisy traffic crossing, and waiting for the light, and walking down toward the Civic Club, and then down the street toward the parks, the preserve and park, and the sidewalk or lack thereof, and then we opened up the new park property and walked through that. The consultant kind of walked us through various parts of the park or parts of the property to think about it as a park, and talked about various considerations that they were thinking about in terms of the trees, the structures, the use of the areas. A lot of thoughts and discussion amongst the group about how the park would be used by folks, by residents of the city, and all the various ways it could be used, and what to look out for. Lots of discussion about the neighbors in the neighborhood and how to be a good neighbor in that area, and how to keep the parks safe. A lot of discussion about like design considerations for the buildings to keep, or limits on the funding sources with how we can use the park, or water quality and shoreline quality, and habitat, and wetlands restoration and mitigation. So it's a really complicated project. So it was really interesting to hear about it all. After the new property, we walked through the Lion Creek Preserve and got a feel for that also. Then we came back to City Hall and sat in the room you're all in now. And the consultants led us through a discussion, all of us, including the three council members, of what the considerations, sort of the same thing, but with big posters to kind of look at and talk through and gather ideas. All of this was to, I think, to get us all talking about it, but also to gather information for the consultants to help put together the upcoming public meeting, to gather even more input from the residents of the city. I really thought it was interesting. I thought it was really good to hear everybody's questions and comments and input, and then at the very end to see how that lined up is probably the wrong word. It wasn't a direct comparison, but how that comported, maybe fit with the results of the survey that the consultants ran for us. And so they showed a lot of those results, and it was not particularly surprising, I don't think, but it was really interesting to see how people think about using the park, what they feel is important. Richie, I don't know if you noticed this, but I think the first question was like, what are the main things we should think about? And I thought it was kind of funny or apt that the first one was like lake, and the second one was park access, And the third one was forests. So it was Lake Forest Park right there in the main criteria for it. So that was really cool to see. Also, lots of interesting discussion about the docks down there and the poor quality of them and the effect they're having on the sediment. There's a lot going on. Richie, I'll open it up to you. Do you want to add anything about your experience?
Yeah, it's my main takeaway is that whatever design consideration, there will be pros and cons, and there will be cost associated to it. And so any like structure will be demolished or structure will be retained. There is a mitigation requirement, and that will be cost consideration and can impact timelines. So I think that's something that I found very important to keep in mind, because the community, the last part of the meeting was to share what the survey results were, what the community, or at least those who responded to the survey were expressing. And there were a lot of things, and of course the community wants access to the lake that's within Lake Forest Park, and there are a lot of considerations, but all those considerations will have to be balanced with the restrictions emanating from the funding sources, and then also of course what the goal is, especially with the new property merging with into a unified park with Lion Creek, which is currently a preserve. And so these considerations will have to be balanced with, of course, how much money it will take and how long it will take. And hopefully not everybody will be happy about it, but in general, people will find something that they will like in what the design will be in the end for the city of Lake Forest Park.
We give visibility to the output of this,
What was that?
the visibility to the output of everything you're discussing here, like the survey and.
So the survey is still going on. That'll be going on through the first open house. And then, so the pre-design workshop is really to focus the vision of the park, and they're gonna take all the input and take that into the first open house. And
Is it
so
something we can see ahead of it?
the open house stuff, yeah. And I think that'll be able to do that.
So that it'll be presented at the house, is that the idea?
Yeah, it'd
survey.
still be very like concept.
But the survey results,
Oh, no, not this.
oh, it'll.
Yeah,
run
this survey will still run
Okay.
through that open house,
Gotcha.
that first open house. But there were already like 200 responses, so, all getting like good input. And we'll be doing more pushes on survey and attending the open house, but I also got back, just like half hour ago, the package for going to community events like the PTA. I know Alice has signed up for Brookside PTA, and I know Josh has now signed up for Lake Forest Park Elementary PTA. Those are both October 12th, and I started a Google sheet that I'll send out to everyone tomorrow morning, and everyone can list like what community groups they're going to, if you are, and I'll send out the packet. Yeah, Alice.
Well, I was just thinking about local schools that we might not have actual, representation to, like Briarcrest or, Richie, I know you're Meridian Park, and Eric, I believe you're at Shorecrest, and correct me if I'm wrong, but would it be appropriate for us to reach out to PTAs for schools that we don't have a connection with and just ask to come and talk?
I think if you guys have the time, if you guys have the time and would like to do that, there's no harm, I don't think.
Miles is at Kellogg now, so I was gonna do that. I was gonna reach out to them. They meet less frequently. I think their PTA, the PTSA only meets like 3 times a year. So it's, I don't know what the timing would be for that, but I'll see if they're interested. And yeah, we can draw straws for the high schools and Briarcrest.
Yeah, and if like you guys do wanna like pair up, go ahead, just remember, no quorum of, it has to be 3 or less. So yeah, I'll send all that stuff out tomorrow morning, and if anyone wants like handouts to go before their meeting, just let me know and I'll get these printed off. And obviously you'll have like the PDF version, so you can post them to wherever you'd like to as well.
Yeah,
I will
that,
say, I brought this up at a PTA meeting a couple weeks ago, and like we were talking about, advocacy for the school budget, and talking about trying to get state representatives to come visit the school. People were fine with that, but when I mentioned, oh, we can talk about the park, everyone's eyes lit up. People are very, very excited about this. So it's it should be interesting. It should be a fun process, community process. Once it
Yeah,
opens up.
I think like the principal over at LP Elementary has kind of reached out a little bit too about her excitement, so. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, her eyes were definitely among those that
Yeah.
but it was all folks around the table, parents and teachers, because they like having public space for kids.
Mhm.
And the PTA was like, oh, that'd be great. Because there have been times when we've rented the Civic Club hall for events, like, oh, what if there was a public space that we could have community events for the school and PTA events? So yeah, people are definitely champing at the bit to get this going.
So the open house has been set for October 25th. It'll probably be a 5:30 to 7 or so, or maybe 7:30, 5:30, 7:30. But I will give you guys like all that information tomorrow.
hey, Corey, where do you think that will be?
It'll be at City Hall,
Okay,
the open house. Yeah, it'll be here. And it'll be very like flow style. So just show up at any time during them, that there'll be boards to input and consultants there to talk to, and as many as you guys want to be there for the whole meeting, you guys don't have to all work at. I'll just post a thing that's saying there might be a quorum, a park board quorum at this meeting.
And will everyone
Wednesday?
Email addresses for everyone who did the survey? Can we write back to them and say there's this event, please come?
The consultant. Maybe not, I'll look at it, see, yeah, but there is a place on the website to sign up for notices and
Yeah.
announcements, so.
I just figure if people show their interest at that level, probably a good place to start.
Oh, Corey, I understand everyone's talking about PTA. In the same breath, can we, has anybody reached out to the senior center?
No, I think that would be great though, and yeah, if you want, like, let me know when you wanna go there and I can print off stuff, but I'll send out the link to that, OneDrive sheet too, of like people signing up, and I just have it to where like, just sign up to what organization and when you
Okay.
are. And just try to update that as you remember too. I don't think it's gonna be any harm if people go to the same place twice.
Yeah.
I just want to be careful and make sure I'm following protocol. If I sign up to go represent the Parks Board in public, do I just introduce myself, say that I am representing the Parks Board, and then say we're doing friendly community outreach? Or I assume there will be talking points, but is there anything that I need to say in terms of like situating who I am and like what power I do or do not wield?
No, I think you just, you say you're on the park board, you're representing the park board, as a board member, and you're here to encourage participation and input through the full process, so.
So we shouldn't say that we rule the parks with an iron fist.
No, not so.
Hey, Corey, in the materials that you were putting together, is there like a one-page kind of thing that is easy for us to send out to these various groups or to other lists that we have? Like, I'm thinking
Yeah.
of the Scouts.
Yeah, I'll have like a little poster for you.
Okay.
And then like there's two little posters and then a poster for you that has like some like talking points on it.
Okay.
Things are just starting to trek away though. Yeah, and I took like talk to Richie and Tyler's view of like the pre-design meeting. I do think a lot of the same conversations at the park board meeting were same as that that meeting as well. It just went into a little bit more of like details of where docs may or may not be able to go and mitigation and all that stuff.
Things that will definitely come up again.
Yes.
I might have missed this, but do we have the consultant's timeline? Has that been,
Yeah, I sent out the after last meeting.
has anything changed on that? We're still.
No.
Okay.
Yeah, I can send that timeline out to you guys again.
Yeah, that'd be helpful. Thanks. Yeah, because it's really kicking in, right? It's like stuff starting. So good to keep them on our calendars if we need to.
I haven't made a note about on the schedule, they're talking about around the 16th placemaking meeting. I don't remember what that was.
Interpretive design meeting. And so it'll be a little bit more focused than the pre-design meeting of like what will the park actually look like? What sort of like design
And what is that?
style and design of the park, the interpretive pre-design meeting.
Okay.
Which will be the 16th, and so I'll send out, it's a 2 p.m. meeting on like a Tuesday. So I'll be reaching out. We haven't set the time quite yet, so once we have that, I will see who's available.
But there is a spot for this board to participate in that?
Yeah, there'll be 3 spots again.
Okay.
No, the charrette is next one.
What?
The charrette.
Yeah, just
I wasn't remembering I was trying to put myself within the schedule, and I thought when you were talking about 25th, I was talking you were talking about.
Is it right that the 25th is the thing that we're calling a charrette?
the what?
Is that the at some point we've talked about this idea of a charrette,
Yeah,
which I don't really know what that is, but that's on the 25th. Is that right?
yeah,
That's the
Okay.
open house. That'll be the open
Open.
house. The
Yep.
charrette, I think, is
Got it.
more of the interpretive design.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so we'll be bringing like someone in from Portera, the Stewardship Foundation, like if these people would like to. And then I think someone from like the tribes has been asked to come. And so we might ask someone from like the Shore Lake Arts to try to be there as well, so. Just like the stakeholder groups. And they've updated the website. You can go in and like do a virtual tour on there as well. So yeah, I can just start sending people to that website for more information.
Sounds pretty good. I feel like that's some good progress on this that we, been on the board for a while and there's not been much progress for so long, but it's really cool to see it like suddenly picking up steam. Any other updates on that? I feel like the October meetings are the sort of the next big piece of it. And that will be, hold on, where's the window that has my calendar? That is probably
Oh, it's right after our October.
exactly. Let's
So maybe we
think
can,
about that.
yeah, think about if we need to meet that day and just have you guys attend the 27th or the 25th.
Would we make the 25th our meeting or?
And then just continue here at 7, something like that.
Yeah, we could possibly meet after. Or maybe I'll think about this, see if we need to meet necessarily in October. And if not, maybe do an early meeting in. Well, yeah, we'll probably want to do an early meeting in November anyways, because of holidays.
Yeah, it's a good point. That last week of November gets a little weird sometimes. Although I think we're, on my calendar at least, we are after Thanksgiving. So, okay, yeah, and maybe connect with the consultants to see if they need our input on anything as a board in advance of that 25th meeting. I don't know, I get pretty good vibe from this group that we're interested in participating and being a part of it. So if they need us to do something like the week before, I think that might be maybe a good way for us to contribute.
Yeah, I have a meeting with them on Thursday morning that will be diving more into the open house setup and everything, so. You guys will getting emails from me after.
Okay, and if we do need to move that October meeting, probably start coordinating that soon for the board.
Yeah, I have a feeling there's probably gonna be no reason for us to meet right before.
Okay.
So plan on getting some doodle polls for a new November meeting. I think.
Probably nothing to debrief on right afterwards anyway.
Yeah, like
Force us
wait.
to gather stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah, give them like a week or.
Yeah.
So they do move fast, but
Not instantaneous.
yeah.
Yeah, that's a fair point. If it's actually more effective to have us delay a week for them to give us some good, or two, right? Some good outputs of that meeting, that'd be pretty cool.
Can't remember when they plan on coming back to you guys.
I have a quick question for those of you who went on the walk yesterday or the design yesterday. Was there information about capacity for the park? Like how many people can be in that space at once?
The actual park, yeah, the actual park or the building?
The actual park.
Not the actual park. That's gonna be a pretty high number and I don't think we'll ever like get there, but there is for that, the house, if that comes into any sort of community space, they do have numbers on that now. And they do have parking stall requirements for that now, so.
And one of the number, like the top end number was like standing room only kind of event. And it was in the 300 something or something. And it seemed like astronomical. Even the low end number I feel like, I don't remember it exactly. I feel like it was 100.
It was around 70.
What was it?
70 is what I heard.
Okay.
Yeah.
So, and that, I thought there was, yeah, the numbers maybe escaped me exactly, but it was a decent number of parking spots that were required for that also.
And were the parking spots dependent on the capacity?
Of
the building.
the building, yeah. I think so. I don't think it has to do with the park
parking,
space.
Yeah, so that's the piece that's gonna. Free parking needs.
Yeah.
What, do you remember what they were? Is it like for every 100 people you need X?
No, I don't think it was any number like that, but, I could find out. I'm sure there is like a ratio.
Well, yeah.
And that's parking there or parking just anywhere?
It would be like here, like at the,
I know there was
town,
talk of like, there
like,
used to be
City
80
Hall.
spots there.
yeah, there will have to
And a
be,
voting zone.
there was like, they just said, like 3 ADAs and like a van parking stall. Will have to be down there, which will probably have, hopefully like a little bit more parking space than 4 stalls, but.
And access for fire and emergency was the other one that came up. But there, I didn't hear, other than the ADA spots, I didn't hear of a plan or a requirement that we have massive, like any amount, let alone massive amounts of parking on site at that park location. The general discussion seemed to be about maximizing park space and using the parking at City Hall, which would then apparently would require a formal agreement between within the city somehow, I think, to document that parking is made available to satisfy the needs of the park. So it was fascinating, honestly. All these things kind of interconnect. It was pretty good.
Does the parking for City Hall begin or end with like the parking for the mall?
No,
Is it
no.
all like this?
So we'll probably have to work with the mall on having an agreement for them to allow more parking spaces of some sort. But yeah, the city owns like the parking stalls in front of City Hall.
Okay.
And then the mall owns.
The bank is somehow associated with that too, I think, right? Do they have some parking spots?
Just like that row in front.
Okay, right in front of it.
So like farmers market time is gonna create some interesting.
I mean, yeah. Even like, big events out the Civic Club this on a nice Saturday night, Friday night. I'd say when I'm leaving here, the parking lot is filled, and it's most likely Civic Club members going down there for something.
So usually the farmer's market could move to the park. Depending on a lot of things, but
Yeah.
No, they have to have like a.
they need parking. Yeah, that's true.
There was a lot of good discussion, I thought, about potential uses of the park and kayak rental stuff, or we didn't get to it, but one thing I've been thinking about is access to like a food truck. Like how do we plan for any of that? And how do we think about that building being, I think there's a pretty general consensus that we're keeping at least the big building, the main building, and likely some of the outbuildings to serve a purpose. Bathrooms, maybe kitchen area. Good questions about how open those are, if they're reservable, if they're, if you can reserve the whole park for a wedding, or what that all looks like. It was an interesting discussion, I thought. Lots more to do on it, but yeah, just a lot of varying uses of the park. I'm happy to keep giving my opinions about how that went. Or we could move, unless anybody else has any questions, maybe we should move on to the next agenda item.
Think whatever we can do to preserve continuity from those who go, and then to keep everyone so that when we attend these, like we have a through line at the open house and things like that. So appreciate any information, or if there's things written down and shared. That'd be great.
Maybe on that note, I will say a piece of the discussion that I thought was maybe a little bit new to me and just in concept was considering the two parks essentially as one big park now. And I think I went into this meeting and maybe this entire process thinking that we really had to keep Lion Creek a separate thing because it was bought and made as a preserve, so it's got to stay a preserve and stay separate. After yesterday's walkthrough and discussion, I don't think it's quite that black and white. I think there's a lot of probably a lot of connection that we can make between those spaces, and to really think of it kind of as one big park. We still have to keep the preserve aspect of the area around the stream, but that could be really cool. And the way the house is positioned on the larger property, considering both parts of it, it's really quite central, with the Lion Creek Preserve on one side and then sort of the house in the middle, then another parcel that I think we mostly clear or open space on the, I guess, northern more side. So it's got a lot of cool potential, some really cool views we could take out, can restore some of the waterfront, make it accessible, make part of it more natural. It was really interesting to think about moving the docks, which I hadn't really, I don't know, somehow whenever I think of a dock, I think it's going to be impossible. Like, who gets permits for those things? But I think everything we do down there is going to have some sort of permit, adding, subtracting, removing. So it's all going to, we're going to do it anyway. So the question is how much do we want to spend and what does the location of the dock bring to the park?
Thanks for sharing that. I also was thinking of it as two pretty separate parks, and so that's really interesting.
I know when I had conversations like a year ago or not quite a year ago, when I started on this, I was talking to Birds Connect Seattle, formerly Seattle Audubon, about bird issues in the parks and you know, getting their advice on what could be done to make the park as bird friendly as possible as going forward. And they liked the idea of having that sort of natural strip that even if is open, you know, preserving that on the waterfront and integrating that and thinking about how to integrate that could be really interesting to, you know, that there are places where maybe not Canada geese, but other things that people like to see and not fight with, would be there at the waterfront, and then but that people can enjoy it and enjoy that part of it also. So I think, yeah, I had imagined that there would be some integration of them. Hopefully, it would make sense that the fence can come down between them, as long as whatever the rules are.
Right. Yeah, the tree canopy is
the whole thing.
Yeah. Right. Yeah, it's not going to be one giant manicured lawn. I don't think that's anybody's vision for it.
Yeah, it'd be kind of cool, you know, see like, I'm gonna go to the preserve side today, or, you know, go to the lawn park, but it'll look, I think it'll be really cool.
Yeah.
I think it'd be very unique. I don't think parks will end up like this.
Yeah, I want to second that preserve nature of Lion Creek. If you've been to Lion Creek at around dusk, you may even spot, and several times we've kind of startled herons that are, you know, fishing in past that bridge, that bridge on top of the creek. So that I think is testament to how much that area is really serving the wildlife.
Yeah, and I think part of this project, a good thing will come out of is the stream channel and how it's making it better for fish passage compared to what it's doing right now, because it's really just leaving silt everywhere. And the docks, I think, are part of the issue as well, so there'll be some good restoration done on that whole front. That will be good for humans and
The balance between those two is, I thought was a really interesting conversation maybe in the meeting with hearing loud and clear. I thought from the survey and other people I've talked to and even people on the board that people want to be able to get to the water. Like the general public's only way to get their feet in Lake Washington or their kayaks. Maybe a little overestimating how much swimming a full-size adult can do down there, just because I think it's mostly pretty shallow. But it seemed like there was a lot of interest in getting access to the water to put in human-powered craft of some sort. Didn't hear much about, I think even in the surveys, any bigger boats, any need for a dock for bigger boats. Balancing that against the idea of preserving the shoreline, returning it back to a natural state, and how we kind of balance that. I think that'll be really interesting.
One thought that had occurred to me, I think I mentioned this to you, Corey, the parks, the picnic in the park. It's a flash that occurred to me, and I'll mention it in case it sparks anything for anyone else, is that those buildings could be interesting places for a maker space. We would probably need to find like a nonprofit partner that could run it, but it could be a really interesting community space in that way, including for inclement weather. That could be good for camps. It could be sort of community rental of, a lot of them work, people pay a certain amount as a monthly membership to have access to the whatever sorts of tools they have, and it can be anything from sewing equipment and electronics and soldering, woodworking, 3D printing, the whole, laser cutting, all the different sorts of things that most people can't equip a whole workshop for all of that, but something that everyone contributes to and everyone can use. It could be an interesting addition to the park, and because there are already buildings there, it may be easier to do there than it would be elsewhere. So I don't know how practical that is, but it's a thought that occurred to me, so I'll put it out to the rest of you as well.
I'll just say, like, after the 30 cabins near the neighbors' house, they all have to go down.
Right.
So there's only probably gonna be the main house and one other cabin saved. So they're after community space and hopefully like city hall is small too. We need office space down there too, so.
Yeah, the space may be spoken for also. Or maybe it may be possible to integrate that, or even art space or studio space, like an artist in residence sort of program could be interesting. If there's room and funding and everything. But
I think those are excellent ideas. I think it speaks to the lack of those kind of public spaces, right? That we can use.
I will say, I'm already on a grant application with Shoreline for a 2 rental place. People will be able to go rent electronic like tools, so that's the future. And I bet it'll probably turn into more.
What y'all are saying is reminding me that Seattle had an artist in residency program for a while from that turret on the Fremont Bridge, that little glass room.
Yeah.
So people got paid, I don't know, it was like, some couple $1,000s to sit up there for a season, like to go in for their job and to write poems and short stories and essays, and feel inspired. That would be an amazing way to open this park, right? If we had a Lake Forest Park writer in residence or artist in residence. So I am.
Hey, Corey, I wonder how that would work with the upstairs rooms in that building. If they're not generally accessible. Anyway, that's a good one, actually.
Yeah.
it sounds like those would be spoken for as city office space.
Alice, that sounds,
Oh, Richie, you want to mute real quick?
sorry, I was trying to reply to Alice that that could be something that for culture can fund. The city can apply a grant for, so.
And
No
Shirley
cost.
Arts could help participate in running that as well.
I feel like there was another comment in the room that I might have missed. Did someone else have a thought on that?
Just sort of mentioned, about the like main cabin, and so I'll say like it's very, the structure's old, so it's not compliant, the stairs or anything up is compliant. So there won't be able to be public access up there, and there was talk of maybe vaulting some of the ceiling because the ceiling is fairly low in there compared to a normal structure these days, so.
It's cozy.
Lots of ideas going around though. All good.
Yeah, keep them coming. I say like these are there's a lot in here.
Okay, well, I will be in touch with you guys tomorrow with like the packet and the link to the doc and a couple other things to keep you guys going, and then we'll be in touch about October, November meeting.
All right, sounds good.
The doc will just put in places that we're contacting and sign up for it, and if people are fighting over who reaches out to the high school, we can figure it out.
Yeah, and I'll
There
I'll
also.
send out a new roster with everyone's emails just in case, but remember, like, emailing in a group setting can be looked at as like a meeting, so just make sure you're not CCing everyone.
It's all right. So no secret gossip.
So we move on to the next yoga in the parks recap agenda item. Can I pass that to you, Alice?
Yeah, I mean, I was gonna say honestly, between it being a month or two gone and having COVID for 2 weeks, I don't remember. I think it went well.
That's great.
It went well again, and yeah, I think it was our July meeting, maybe, we had kind of a discussion about maybe expanding yoga in the parks a little bit, and I think maybe after the first of the year, we can get back into that and sort of revision of how we want yoga in the parks to continue, and if we want to expand or something,
I think, thank you. That is jogging my memory. I think the thing to do is not wait until late May or early June to plan the thing, which is what I've done for the last 2 years in a row. And so I could definitely use the help of this board, just reminding to get the process going a lot sooner. And I'd like to look into the option come springtime of working with a local yoga studio who could possibly sponsor it. And then, use their roster of instructors and their insurance, if that's okay with the city to be branded in that way. Because otherwise the hard part, everybody loves it. It works really well, but the hard part really is finding insured yoga instructors who have free Saturdays in the summer. And there were like at least 2 or 3 weeks where I was sort of frantically calling everyone I knew in Seattle to try to find a yoga teacher. So we can do that again, but I think if we give ourselves a longer lead time and maybe set up a relationship with a local studio, it could be a lot smoother and more sustainable.
and I'll try to work on the city side of working with how that would work, working with like a studio versus doing these independents and stuff like that, so.
Okay,
It was a hit again, that's for sure.
cool.
Alice, beyond the just reward they get for volunteering their sort of their time. What benefit does the yoga instructor see in this, so that when we think about like preserving this over time, and actually having to create a, what is our succession plan so that these live beyond us? Like
Yeah.
how do you incent these, or how do they see the incentive?
Right, great question. The city is paying $50 per session, which is actually on par with what folks are paid in a studio. And I've invited, what's that?
I think it's less. I have a friend who just like got her yoga instructor license and like teaches through like one of the chain. It's like $20 an hour.
Well, don't say that. I'm recording that.
I'm just saying, like,
Yeah,
I feel like they're a profession that is not appreciated.
not appreciated.
Yeah.
When I used to teach, it was like $15 base and then $2 a head for every person over the 10th person. You know what I mean? It was like, if you were really popular. So I do feel like these classes are drawing sometimes 40 or 50. So $50 is fair. I mean, it's not fair. It's not a good wage, but it's a stipend, and it's like you said, there's some community aspect, but I've also been inviting the instructors to promote themselves at the end of the session. So they usually come prepared with business cards and will kind of set themselves up and chat to folks after. And that's it, right? There's also, I mean, photography, sort of self-promotion on social media is what I've seen happen. But it's pretty, I don't know. I don't want to say what the impact is or isn't, but it's not, I don't think it's huge. If you have thoughts on how to make it more sort of advantageous for a yoga instructor, I would be really interested.
Are there other lessons learned that we should remember for next year in terms of logistics or planning or promotion or?
Yeah, so it's shocking to me that as many people come as do, because we did pretty much zero postering this year. This year it really was all LFP managed social media and the newsletter. I think next year it would be great to get the posters made a little bit earlier, have them laminated, and hang them around the town center and hang them in the parks starting in June. And I would like to get like a poster sized one that I could hang at the event when it's happening, because often people kind of wander into Animal Acres and they look around and they're like, am I in the right place? So just something to advertise what's happening. And that also, it's so much fun because there's always so much happening in the park in the summer on a Saturday. So people are walking and gardening and setting up for their festival. And like, it would be nice if we had a big poster sort of declaring what this event is. So I think more posters earlier. And then, yeah.
I mean, we did learn about the speaker too. I think we need a substantial speaker to really get to all the participants. But I think we have that settled, right?
Yeah, Corey got a great speaker. It really made a difference this year.
And it's pretty small too to pack up and carry around, so.
And I think the sign-in process improved this year. That seemed easier. Generally one form for people to sign when they got there, if they'd been there before.
Yeah, folks really liked that. It was easy. We also had the sign-up sheet for, are you interested in being on our listserv, at the last couple of weeks of it. And that was the first time that I started chatting with the public about the lakefront, and folks were really interested. And out of 40 attendees, I'd maybe get 10 people putting their email addresses down. So I do think it's a great opportunity for this board to do outreach. if you have those emails, Corey, we should make sure that they all,
I sent them to the consultant. So,
perfect.
yeah. Yeah, I think we'll just pick this back up at the first of the year and really try to get going.
That sounds good.
With maybe it's time to move on to the next one, the Paws in the Park date. Corey, is that you?
Yeah, so it's gonna be in the morning of October 21st. It'll just be sort of like a temporary like dog park, some vendors and stuff like that for this year. Next year we'll look at opening it up, growing it a little bit more, so hopefully we'll get some decent weather. I don't remember it being this stormy this early this year, so I'm getting a little nervous, but it's, you know, it's okay.
Get it out of the way.
Yeah,
That's Animal Acres. I'm just guessing.
yeah, it'll be at Animal Acres.
Great.
And then there's also Pack the Park Fun Run on the oh, this is actually the 14th. If the board wants to be there of some sort, even for like promoting the lakefront property, we could arrange that.
Yeah, what was that? That seems important. I mean, to promote the, if nothing else, the open house in a week or whatever,
Yeah.
closer to 2 us.
Is-
How would we do that? Well, is just a table with people staffing it?
Yeah, I think it would just be simpler than picnic in the park, of just having materials out there and handing out. Is there interest in, so it'd be early, I think it'd be like 8 till 11,
That's for the Patrick Park.
yeah.
I'm interested. I'm a maybe. I have a scout event that might actually be rescheduled. Turns out that's homecoming for the high school, so but that's in the evening, of course. I think that'd be good. I think it's a good way to let the public know, or one more way to let folks know.
Okay, I'll be in touch and maybe create some sort of a sign up volunteer thing for Pack the Park and see what we can do. That's the PTA and all the funds raised for that backpack lunch program.
So that was on the 14th, Saturday the 14th in the morning.
Yeah.
And yeah, I'd forgotten that it was the PTA. Thank you. And then that would be again just like a little table with in Animal Acres. Is that right? That's where it starts and ends. And so then for Paws in the Park, and that's another one that's kind of right before the meeting on the 25th. Is that another opportunity to be out there and promote it?
Yeah, and I will definitely be there with everything, so.
Including your Paws?
Including the Paws, yeah.
Yeah.
So I'll do a volunteer sign up for both of those, so.
That'd be great. Yeah. Oh, yeah. Well, those are 2 Saturdays. Sorry. I'm catching up now. Who knew my October Saturdays would be so full of activities in our parks?
I feel the same way. I don't know how this is happening.
More than July for me, I think. I think we're on to item D, the discussion on current and future PRAB, that's us, projects.
Yeah, just kind of want to bring the discussion around. I mean, we kind of went over yoga in the park, so we'll have that set. You know, like we're working on the bird project and it's been stalled. Do we want to pick some of these up? I think the walking project's like too big right now, and we'll also next year I want to work with this Pack the Park group a little bit more. But their run is going on Perkins.
I was
So
gonna ask about that. Is there something to be learned? From
yeah,
that?
so Perkins is going to be closed and Brookside. So people will be able to go walk up. So I'm gonna partner with that PTA group a little bit better about getting their fun run more city sponsored and work that way. So I think there's a good partnership with those two to combine for next year. And then Richie, I've submitted the information to get an account. And I know Tracy wants to touch back about the multicultural event in Lake Forest Park and working with the Arts Council. So that will be on our to-do list for next year too. I mean, and that's kind of like a full plate with the lakefront property, things start picking up, but just kind of seeing where everyone's feeling.
Wanted to ask about the public comment that was maybe 2 meetings ago about the pickleball stripes at LFP Elementary. And just following up on if there are any sort of action items for us around that. Or was it more of an FYI?
No, so we sent them, they did get the lines done, but they worked with the school. That was with them. The LFP Elementary approved and that's their property. But there are pickleball lines up there, I think now, or there will be, and they're gonna order and buy nets, so. Yeah.
School district is?
What?
The school district is doing all that?
No, the pickleball group.
Okay, got it.
Yeah.
That seems more likely, yes. Thanks for bringing that about.
More to say, we I think maybe 2 meetings ago, there've been, or no, it was before the summer. Like June. Yeah, June. I think we talked about what would be involved in getting bike racks at parks. And then I went away for the summer and forgot about it. But I don't know if there's anything that we should do about that now, or if that's something to push further off. Because the schedule is filling up, or if, and I don't know how that would, I know there have been budget meetings for the city council, if that's something that process might advance in terms of having a budget for bike racks.
Yeah, probably we won't be able to do that for this. This is a mid-biennium budget.
I just saw the notice of a budget meeting.
And that's probably gonna be something that we'll have to find donations or grants for, right now, the budget. It's just very small.
Sure, and I'm sure mostly committed to the new park.
Well, just maintenance of our
And
existing parks right now, but, yeah, I know, I think it's a project that we should keep on our radar and see how we find funding or look for funding.
And that was a place where, sort of similar to Alice's question before about the community presentations, like if it occurred to me, oh, hey, this bike shop might be able to do something, or this bike rack manufacturer might be able to do something, is it appropriate for me to ask? Or is that overstepping what
Yeah, I think
the park board is supposed to do?
Yeah, I think you can see if they're willing to donate.
I mean, obviously I can't commit the city to it.
Yeah. But I think just looking for donation of bypass is fine.
Speaking of the future projects, as we look into 2024, I can't remember this part of the schedule for the new park, but how busy is it's at some point the idea was that this board would be quite involved with the whole project. What's on the agenda for next year for this group? Do you know have that handy, Corey?
Well, we'll redo our work plan before the year. But this project will go through all next year for us, so.
Mhm.
And then I think trying to maintain, that's what I was kind of like looking at, what do we want to maintain or kind of try to start as we get going, because we're probably only gonna have maybe 2 meetings the rest of this year, maybe 3, but and then January we'll get going again.
Yeah, that's a very good point.
Most of the ideas for events and what we do been generated by this board, or they're. I mean, I know that there's no public comment in support of the pickleball piece, but like, in understanding what ideas could be out there. I know there's also opportunity for public comment, but it seems, I wouldn't know to attend this meeting.
Yeah.
But just understanding what the public may want from our parks. It seems like a lot of these in the past have been generated by ideas and passions from people on the board.
Yeah, definitely board member ideas. Sometimes we just get opportunities thrown at us and then we'll just take them and go from there. But it's really about our capacity of what we can do.
Okay.
What you guys are willing to do. Yeah, there's
Yep.
flexibility.
Yeah, both in terms of idea generation, which I think is what you're talking about, but also in terms of time and money, right? So some limitations and stuff, of course.
Yeah, and I think once the Lakefront project starts wrapping up, our next big thing will be a full park master plan. Updating the post plan is, I think, will be the next step for this city and us to move forward with. And that'll be a big process. And I also, well, I'll wait for the other.
Are we ready to move on to other then?
So,
Sounds like yes. Okay, we'll move on to part E. Any other business?
so the comp plan, the planning commission's updating the comp plan. They will be starting that process. And I bet that there will be some involvement in the park board. They'll ask the park board to be part of or review something or partnership at some point along with them. So,
Can you describe what that plan is? Like you said, comp plan?
yeah, comprehensive plan.
Okay.
I think it's a plan. I think it's like every 8 years. The cities have to update this comprehensive plan, and it is a lot of like code and building and that sort of stuff. But there are elements of like what does the park system look like? Does there need more parks? It does touch on that.
And that's coming up in 2024, you say?
Yeah, they just are slowly, I think they just got their consultant on board and
Okay,
Yeah, just something to look at, keep an eye on.
any other business going on? Or other ideas for to be new business? All right, I think we can, with that, move on to any citizen comments.
No citizens.
All right, then I guess we'll close that section. And unless there are any other items to maybe go back and refill that other category since we're no citizen comments. Anybody? Seeing none, so I guess with that, we can wrap up this meeting. I'll adjourn us. Thanks, everyone, for your time and participation.
Yes, thank you. I'll be in touch, so
Good.
keep eye out on emails for the next couple weeks.
That's great. Thanks,
I'll be
everyone.
standing right here.
Thank you, Corey.
Thank you.
Good night, everyone.
Well, Corey, you see the PRAB plan, like, that's available online.